Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Kathy Bacon here with What's Your Story? And I have to tell you that What's Your Story is really taken off, and I have so many people wanting to be on the show, and I'm so excited about that because What's Your Story is really, well, there's no wrong answer to What's Your Story. You know, you can tell anything you want. You can talk about tragedy, triumph, everything in between. It's your story. And believe me, there's no judgment here. No one's going to say you should have done this or you should have done that. Uh, it's your story, and it's your unique story. I'm broadcasting from Chiang Mai, Thailand, and my guest today is in Denver, Colorado. So the beautiful thing about the computer is that the world is much smaller these days, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world, I can still interview you. So just keep that in mind. You can go to my website at www.kathybacon.com. You can click on contact and guest, and it will tell you everything you need to know, and you can contact me through there. And I also post about my guests. So go to the website, www.kathybacon.com, look up the next guest and the previous guests, and you'll find out information about them, how to get a hold of them if you want to contact them for any reason. So I make it really simple for you because I feel that telling our story is really an important thing. And I'm always honored to hear people's story and how they got from point A to point B. So please enjoy the interview today. My guest is, well, she's a lovely, lovely woman, and she is on top of her game. And I've known her. We just spoke for a minute, and it was like a lifetime ago that we met. And she's just doing incredible work and helping so many entrepreneurs. So let me tell you a little bit about her before we get started. Olivia Omega is a personal branding expert, social media strategist, sought-after speaker focused on building entrepreneurial brands, and author of Beautifully Branded, The Girl's Guide to Personal Branding and Understanding the Anatomy of Brand You. Her mission is to inspire and encourage women entrepreneurs while giving them the tools needed to successfully build their personal brands both online and offline through workshops, mentorships, online courses, and one-on-one consultations. She is a freelance consultant with over 12 years of traditional advertising, digital marketing, and branding experience. Olivia has taught social media and branding workshops across the country for both large and small businesses, equipping them with knowledge to successfully use Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and blogs to grow their brands. And let me tell you, if any of you think that Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram is not important, you need to think again. Because I remember when Facebook first started, I thought, oh, I'm not getting on there. I don't need to be on there. Well, that's a crazy thought because everyone is on there. And if you want to build a brand, if you want to get your name out there, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, they are all avenues to get on there, and they're free. Come on. Her past PR clients have been featured on, get this, USA Today, Entrepreneur Glamour, Daily Candy, O Magazine, US Weekly, Life and Style, The Ellen DeGeneres Show, The Insider, Parents, Pregnancy, Fit Pregnancy, Pregnancy and Newborn, and more. Olivia graduated with a business marketing degree from the University of Colorado at Boulder, Leeds School of Business. Olivia enjoys dancing, sewing, yoga, and her 2 kids, and I think also her new husband. So we'll talk to her a little bit about that as well, because they're doing some amazing things too. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Olivia Omega. Hi.
Hi, Kathy. Thanks so much for having me on your podcast, on your show. I'm so excited to see your beautiful face and to reconnect with you after so long.
Oh, you're one of the many people I thought about when I first started the show, just because of what you do. And you started from, I remember when you started. So it's been 12 years and you've grown and built something so amazing. So it's so inspiring for me to see that. I really am so happy for you. And I need help for sure on branding. I can tell you this, as many of us do, right? I mean, we all need help on that avenue, because what we think might work, a lot of times we're missing something that somebody like you knows. So, what's your background and how did you get started? Tell us how you did that, because it's been a little while and you've really grown into an amazing business and strategist. I really.
Thank you. Well, my background started once I graduated from CU Boulder. I actually took an internship my junior year at CU into my senior year at an advertising agency locally in Boulder, and was really blessed in the fact that it wasn't just your typical advertising agency. It was actually more of a brand positioning firm. So my first clients right out of college were Lay's potato chips, Domino's pizza, Pepsi, some really huge brands. And it was cool to be, at the time, a marketing analyst, so completely separate from advertising. But I was hired, or my teams were hired, to analyze the market, determine if it was viable for someone to go into. So, for example, Bush baked beans. If they went into the UK, which is a huge market for baked beans, but Heinz dominates that market, is it viable for them as a US brand? And so doing the research, doing the focus groups, all of the qualitative and quantitative research, and determining, is that a viable business for them? Or on the flip side of that, Pepsi asking, okay, we want to, and this was way back in the day, so this is like, I don't know, 17 years ago, but we want to enter the market with a new caffeinated drink for college students, and we want it to be a breakfast drink. So how do we position it? What do we call it? How is it different from what's out there? How can we get people, and not to cannibalize their regular Pepsi, but create a new market and a new use state for a carbonated beverage? And so all of the research that goes into that, the focus groups, the brainstorming, the ideation. So I was very fortunate that everything we did at that time started with strategy and started with brand positioning. And so then as I worked through the company, I think I was there on and off for a total of, 10 to 12 years. Was able to look at advertising in a totally different way. What did that begin with? What was the branding? What was the strategy that then we can translate into this outward appearance of marketing and advertising? So I was there for a long time and worked many, many hours and loved it. I also got married at 21 and started to have kids, and never saw my kids. And so eventually got to a place where I left the job to start my own thing, really forced by a son who got really sick at a young age and having to kind of juggle and manage all of that. So kind of that blessing in disguise that a lot of us face, that kind of hits us and points us into the direction we need to be in anyway.
Yeah. Do you hear me okay?
Yep, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, good. Yes, I can hear you okay. I hope it's not echoing, because sometimes it does. I hope it's not happening. But anyway, it's funny too how, there's a plan for you, and you learned so much at this company and then decided to do your own thing. You were married, you had kids. A kid gets sick or something with their kid happens. I mean, everything else goes out the window.
Right.
So what happened, so you were juggling that and you were juggling trying to start your own business. How did you just keep going?
I loved what I did. So I think ever since high school, in high school, I wanted to be a pediatrician, oddly enough. And then I just
Oh,
wasn't so good. I wasn't so good at science. And I joined, I don't know if you've heard of DECA. It's a club in high
yes,
school, but it's a marketing club. And so I
yes.
knew from that point that I just loved it. So even in the long hours and the working and the missing my family, I still loved what I did. I just had to figure out how to be a better balance. And oddly enough, I was one of the very first women at this agency. When I started there was 55 people. When I left, there was just over 100. I was one of the very first women to have a child and stay, um, because I had to financially. And so there wasn't a lot of examples around me at the agency of women who had young kids and were working there. There was actually hardly any. Um, so it was a challenge. Like, how do you juggle? And it's still a challenge. How do you juggle your career, being a good wife, being a good mom, and personally feeling fulfilled and like you're not sucking at everything you do?
Right, 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 right. And
So,
you're, go ahead.
so I was just going to say, so my son got RSV and ended up in and out of Children's Hospital on oxygen. And I had gone through all of my sick time and gone through all of my vacation, and finally was like, okay, this is a good opportunity for me to start a business that I had kind of been dabbling in. I love to sew. My mom taught me how to sew when I was 6, and I just love being creative. So when I was pregnant with him, I started baby t-shirts and
Oh, I
started giving
love
them to
it.
friends as they were having kids too. So I started, every shower gift was baby onesies that were customized. And so I left my job and started a baby clothing line,
Oh,
which was
wow.
definitely one of the
I think,
craziest
is that
things,
when I met you?
craziest things I've done. Yes, that was around the time that you met me.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So over
And
10 years, about 10 years ago.
yeah. And so what happened from there? You started this baby line. Well, no wonder you work with a lot of women and parents, and you've gotten so many people. You've gotten quite a few people, it looks like, into pregnancy, fit pregnancy, pregnancy and newborn, and more
Yeah,
different magazines because probably of that background, right?
that was it. It took off in an amazing way. And this is, part of my story and my message to anyone starting a business and women who may be second guessing or just not sure what they're doing, is to just do it anyway.
Yeah.
So with my son, it was I want to say, first week home from work with him and watching the Ellen DeGeneres show. And at that time, again, this was 9 or maybe even 10 years ago, she did her first Mother's Day show and kind of advertised it as any first time moms who are pregnant, right into the show. We want to have you as a guest. So I was pregnant, but I had this great new product line that I was in works and developing. And so I had written the show and sent them a package, and standing in the post office with the long line, a sick baby, a 3-year-old. I'm sure she was like on the floor. I don't know. You have that moment where all eyes are on you, and people are like, "Why don't you handle your kids?"
Yes.
You're like, "I'm doing the best that I can."
I'm doing the best I can.
Yes, I'm doing the best that I can, and I got to get this package off. And I remember standing there thinking, "Who am I fooling?" I'm sending this to fan mail. I don't even have a connection to Ellen Show. They don't know who I am. I don't have a producer name. I have nothing but this fan mail PO box that I'm sure they get thousands of letters a day. And almost, I think, 2 different times I turned around and went home. I was this close, and I didn't. I sent the package anyway. And that is, again, my story is just like, do it. Just, you never know. And the producers called about a week later, and my line launched on the Ellen Show. And when the producer called, I had 2 kids in the backseat of my car and asking if I could deliver 300 shirts in, I think I had 3 weeks to do it. And of course I said, yes, this is
Of
great.
course.
And very calmly, like, of course I can do this. And I got off the phone and started screaming. And my 3-year-old is screaming, and my son is like, "What is going on?" And I was like, I picked up my phone. I picked up the phone to call my mom right away. I was like, "Mom, this is what's going on," but I have no idea what I'm doing. I didn't have a website. I didn't have a supplier. I didn't know how I was going to produce these. I didn't really even have the money to produce and give the show 300 t-shirts, but it all kind of fell into place. And I had all these ladies at church rolling and tying and packaging up all of these shirts for me. And it was an amazing experience to see. Literally the first visits to my website were the flood, the influx of clicks and orders from that one show, and ultimately 3 more shows after that. So it was an awesome Kickstarter to that business, and Kickstarter to me helping other women, specifically mom entrepreneurs, start something and really create a brand and a name for themselves, in a place where, you know, a lot of moms, either stay-at-home moms or working, and just having this creative piece and this dream, you know, inside of them, and wanting to help them get that out to the world. So that's kind of how I started doing PR for myself, but then just teaching as much as I could and giving as much as I could to the women around me.
Yeah, you did. I mean, the amazing thing is we have that so often when we're going to do something and we're standing in line or writing the email or we're doing this, and that little voice says, "Oh, you can't do this. Nobody's going to talk to you.
Yeah, who are you?
Who are you?" And you know what? Yeah. Once we get rid of that voice and just ignore it, we are rock stars. I mean, really.
Yeah.
Because look what happened to you. I mean, did you ever think that would happen in a million years? No, but you just stuck with it. Stuck with it. That was it. And, you know, we just have to trust that God, universe, whatever we want to call it, is going to be by our side when we have an idea to do something. Just pursue it.
Exactly. It's that whole quote of like, take the leap and build your wings, or build the stairs on the way. Like, kind of just have to go and have no idea what's going to happen or what that second step is. Take the first step first.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's very exciting. I can see Ellen, you know, promoting these shirts. I mean, I can just see her doing it. I mean,
it was mind blowing. It was crazy. Crazy. They had a baby model on the show. Like, it was just, we had a cake, and we watched the show. It was me, my mom, and my grandma, and my daughter. We watched the show together, and I remember it aired in other parts of the country before it aired in Colorado, and so just seeing visits and the clicks and the orders come in, it was a rush. It was I'll never forget it. It was amazing. It was an amazing experience.
Well, and it gives you the confidence to say, okay, look, I did this, so I can do something else.
Definitely. Definitely.
And so, are you still sewing? Are you still doing that business?
I am not. So this is kind of where my story, after this amazing high of a great opportunity, takes kind of a turn, in that I did the company for about 3 years and did really well, and again just loved it, and helped a lot of other women. Started consulting with other women, doing Ladies Who Launch, and that's how we met, and other things. And then my marriage ended, and it was something that was completely unexpected and really pulled the rug out from underneath me. And being in a place where, from the outside world and from the outside perspective, something that we to this day need to be very careful about, how we start to perceive people on social media, because it's always a curated version of life, not necessarily fake, but people didn't know what was going on in my marriage. I didn't half the time know what was going on. And so we had, to the outside world, I had a perfect business, amazing, successful on Ellen, all of these different things, People Magazine, 2 beautiful kids. My husband and I were youth pastors, like so much going on. And then when it ended, it was extremely hard for me to face the world because of the pedestal we had been placed on, and hard for me to even do my business. And so, a couple of things happened. I literally was going through my separation and my divorce when the Ellen Show called again and asked if I was going to show for one more time. That was the third time in a row. And because of what was going on in my life personally, and my son was also diagnosed with autism that same period. Because what was going on personally, I couldn't even fulfill the orders. So I was in a place where I couldn't get out of bed. I was on antidepressants, all of these different crazy things. And so I had to write a lot of apology emails. People who placed orders and it was taking too long to get out there. I had to apologize or just kind of remove myself from this network of women, hundreds of women who were relying on me for inspiration and guidance. And I felt ashamed, and I felt not only was I disappointing myself, I was disappointing all of these women. And so in coming to grips with that, my husband owned half of the company. We dissolved it, and I started completely over. And I went back to my agency job that I had left years before, kind of with my tail between my legs in a way. But it also, it took some time, but in that gave me a perspective that I would never have had before. And this notion of your mess is your message, and that you can bounce back from failure, from life, and rebrand yourself and actually be molded in tragedy and in trial into what you were supposed to be all along.
Right. And, and to me, everything that happened, that's the first thing we do. We're ashamed. We screwed everybody over. We're this, we're that, we're this, we're that, we're this, we're that. Right. But guess what? It happens to everyone somewhere along the line. And it shows everybody that you're a real person. You're not this person just because you were on the Ellen DeGeneres show doesn't mean you're way up here. It just means that you just kept pursuing what you thought was good for you because you loved it so much. And I think so many tragedies or so many things that happen that aren't okay really teach us so much. They're our best teachers. Yeah. And they totally are. Some really good teachers.
Right? Yes, I had a lot of good teachers. Yes. And it's funny, like in the moment, you never, and this is kind of what I can share when I meet women who are going through something similar. You will never look at your current situation and say, oh, I understand why this is happening, and this is what I'm learning. It's always retrospect. So it's always looking back, and it's so crystal clear. Oh, okay, this is why, and this is the lesson learned, and this is the strength I built, and this is the blessing and the silver lining, always looking back, never kind of in the mess.
Right. And you're still here to talk about it. You survived.
Right.
And you have a story to tell.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's the beauty of ups and downs happening to us, is that we have the ability to help other people too if they're going through something, because we've been there. We're not just talking because we read a book that said this is what you're supposed to do. You've actually gone through it and you can help other people. And that's really an amazing thing already right there. I mean, we're all used at certain times in our life, I believe.
So true.
So that we can do what we're supposed to do here.
Exactly.
In this life. So yeah, hats off to you. I didn't know your whole story, and we've all been through divorces. I mean, it's not easy, and we've all, had to start something and quit it, and felt so like climbing into the corner, climbing into the hole or whatever, but it doesn't do any good, because look at you now. You overcame it. You had to go back to another job that you kind of left with your head up high. But so what? So what? That's what I say.
So what?
Yeah, because it led to you to where you are now. And I always say some of the things that happened that were very hard when I was, going through life. There was a time I was really angry about it and really sad about it. But today, I'm so glad that it all happened because it's made me who I am today. Just like for you, it just makes us who we are. And we're pretty good people, I say.
I think so.
Yes. So, what is the key for anyone to starting their own business? When I kind of even I'm struggling a little bit now trying to get the word out about the show and going on Facebook and Twitter and, all these things. People think they're not important, but they really are.
Yeah. They're important. I think sometimes they get, it's overwhelming and we get inundated with all the things we have to do. And so I think the key, it's kind of twofold, is have your to-do list. And this by to-do list, I mean, what is your niche and what are you focused on? Niche is a niche, however you say it, is the word that is thrown around so much. But it's so important when you're branding yourself. Think about how many shows and podcasts are out there that are telling stories. There's quite a few. And so coming up with who is this for and who are you interviewing and being really focused in that, who's your target is going to be extremely important. So this is your to-do list of here are all the things that I will do and that I do. And do them in a very authentic way. I love that you, especially when you first moved, jumped on video all the time and just had these real raw heart-to-hearts with people about your fears and your what you were anticipating and those sorts of things. Really started to build relationships with people because they started to see who you were. So those are all on the to-do list. And then what is on your to-don't list and making sure you have that. And that's something that I haven't really personally started doing until recently in the last couple of years. What are the things I'm not going to do? Because we could all be on Facebook and Pinterest and Snapchat and Instagram and Periscope and YouTube and LinkedIn. Like the list goes on and on and on.
Right.
And I honestly will say not all of them are as beneficial as some for you, depending on what you're doing, who your target is, and what your goal is. And so coming up with, here are the 2 platforms, or one even, start with one that I'm going to do and I'm going to learn and I'm going to pour into and focus on and build and do really, really well, versus you can find me anywhere and everywhere on 10 different platforms and you're doing all of those kind of half so and not so well because you're trying to do everything. Another thing too, is on your to-don't list, here are the people I'm just not targeting. I personally, in what I do in my book and things like that, I don't speak directly to men because my personal story and who I am as a mom and a woman juggling it all doesn't appeal to men. Do the branding practices that I teach work for men? Absolutely, 100%. But men, for that purpose, in that example, are not on my to-do list. They're on my to-don't list. Periscope is on my to-don't list. Like I have a lot of things that I'm like, you know what, I'm just not going to do that. And it releases a burden off of you of trying to do all the things. So I'd say those 2 are kind of the biggest keys or things for us to consider as we're starting our businesses.
Yeah, target market is for sure it. And I go back and forth with that, even with the radio, okay, should I maybe every month have a certain topic where I interview those people? So I'm growing with the show because before it was just voice. And now I've made it so that we can see each other, which I love better because I think human connection's really super important. That's just who I am. So, but yeah, I think that a lot of people struggle with that. Okay, who is my niche market and how am I going to make this work? And then we think, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that. Oh, we better do this. Oh, we better like you said. So you really
Yeah.
help people with that. That's part of your business.
That's
You
what I
help.
do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And
tell us a
that
little
is
bit
the
about
most
that.
critical. Okay. That is the most critical piece of what I do is the notion of brand strategy and positioning. And so if you don't have a narrowed and target audience,
Right.
um, the analogy I use is that you're floating in outer space. And so as you're just floating out there, you're tethered to nothing. And so as a brand, especially starting off, you have to anchor or hold on to something. Otherwise you're just floating in outer space. So a lot of people don't want like, oh, I don't want to just focus on men or women. I'm for everyone. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's
Let's
okay.
see.
That's okay. Are you
Yeah.
sure? No,
Are you?
it's
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to be just for men and women. Like, okay, that's fine. And then they'll
Yeah.
say, my service or my product can be for any age. So it can be for people in their 20s or 60s. And I'm like, okay, well, okay, let's keep going. So
Yeah.
if we're not gonna anchor onto gender and we're not gonna anchor onto age, are
Yes.
we gonna anchor onto location? So are we just working with New York City, Manhattan, in that area? Are we just, no,
Right.
I can help anyone anywhere. I'm like, okay.
Mhm.
So we're not anchoring and tethering onto geographical locations. So now
Right.
what we have left is more of a psychographic. So are they
Mm.
into something very specific that you can anchor onto? So those are just examples. It's like if you're not going to
Yes.
do age and gender, and if you're not going to do geographic, then you're going to focus on. Here's a really great example. There's a woman that I met who is a coach and
Okay.
business consultant for wedding planners,
Okay.
which I thought was really cool. So instead of being a
Yeah.
business coach to all women or to anyone and everyone,
Right.
she is a business coach for wedding planners.
Okay.
And the litmus test for this is if I'm a wedding planner, it would be a no-brainer. I would feel really silly if I didn't start to follow and tap into this woman where all she does is focus on wedding planners. It would be silly for me to hire a
Yeah.
general business coach when I can hire a wedding planner business coach. So that's
Right.
what you kind of want to think of. You want to
Right.
be the only or one of the only solutions to your target audience's problem or need.
Right.
Another great example, when I worked in advertising, I did a lot of work for the Children's Hospital here in
Yeah.
Denver. Um,
Mm.
and just a coincidence that both of my kids were patients there for various reasons. But
Oh, yeah.
their positioning and what they wanted to get across to parents is
Mhm.
all they do is kids. That's all they do. So if your child were to break a bone, would you rather have it set by a doctor who sets bones all day or
Right.
by a doctor who sets kids' bones? Like that's all they do. So even the arm cuffs for blood pressure are kid size. Like
Yeah.
everything they do is for kids.
Yeah.
And then you're like, gosh, as a parent, I'd be really silly to drive 5 miles this way to an emergency room or a
Right.
hospital where I
Right.
know they could do the work versus
Yeah.
10 miles this way to an ER where that's all they do is focus on kids.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur and as whatever you do and whatever you're looking at doing is think about how do I position myself in a way where I am the only logical, smart, and brilliant solution for my target,
Right. Right. Yeah.
which is
It
hard.
makes
It's hard.
it's hard. No, it is hard, but it does make sense. We all have our
Mhm.
beliefs about certain things, and you know, I won't hire someone that, for instance, carries a gun in their trousers because it happened
Yeah.
once. Somebody came to
Wow.
our house to fix in Colorado. Someone came to our house to fix an air conditioner, and he had a gun in his pants. And my husband said, "Why are you?" He said, "Well, it's an
Coming to a
alley.
job.
I don't know. I don't know what's downtown." He said, "I'm sorry, we don't need your services."
Yeah. That is a great example of the concept of attracting and repelling. So
Yeah.
with that gun, he totally repelled you guys and you had
Oh,
no
totally.
interest in hiring him. For
Ever.
other people who are so pro carry,
Yes.
so people who are into that would actually be like, oh, dude, what do you have there? I have something similar, or I don't, if they're into it. So he would totally attract a certain type of
Yes,
person.
he would.
And that's what, not with, uh, again, repelling you, but attracting somebody else. It's kind of what
Yeah.
you want to do with your brand. And a lot of times
Yes.
we come into a place where we don't want to, as an entrepreneur, I find this more with women than men. We
Yes.
don't want to offend and we don't want to turn off anyone. And so
Mhm.
we start to present a very bland version of who we are, or likable,
Mm.
soft, vanilla, I
Yeah.
call it, vanilla ice
Yeah.
cream
Yeah.
version of
Yeah.
who we are, knowing that we'll get a lot of people to like us. A lot of people really like vanilla ice cream.
Yeah.
But are people infatuated with it? Like, are they
Yeah.
in love with it?
That's right.
Not so much. And so you
Mhm.
almost want to present the extra rocky road, extra nuts, whipped cream, like, the
Yeah.
real genuine version of you that some people just will not love and like, and that's okay because they're not your target audience.
That's
On the
right.
flip side of that, the people who are the right people will absolutely adore you and will connect with you in a way that becomes magical, really. And so attracting and repelling in that way is key in branding yourself and
Right.
having a successful business.
Yeah. And I think, well, it helps to have, I mean, sometimes we can't rationalize this in our own head. So it helps to have someone like
Yes.
you to really,
Yeah.
like you said, okay, what's your niche? Oh yeah, everybody. Oh yeah, everybody. Oh yeah, no, time
Mm-hmm.
out. Sometimes it's good to hear that because you think because it's yours that it's going to be this, but then talking to someone else like yourself
Right.
really helps people hone in on that niche market, like you said, and
Yeah.
how you can be yourself in your own brand. I mean, that's the most important thing, it seems like to me. Like, I don't want to
Right.
be phony for anybody, you know? No, I
Right.
mean, I want to be
And it does. Yeah, you want to be yourself and you want to be authentic.
right.
And that word again, authentic, is used so many times, but I
True.
truly don't believe that in our own abilities and capabilities, we can figure that stuff out on our own. And so it
Right.
takes a coach, a strategist, a really good friend, a peer
Yeah.
to be able to sit down with and to even just ask you some of those simple questions of, I know you're
Right.
afraid to leave money on the table. I know you don't
Right.
want to exclude anyone, but it's better to have
Mhm.
100% of that women wedding planner pie than
Yes.
have 1% of all women business owners out there. It's much
Yeah.
better to dominate in that way. And so having an outsider ask you, what are your likes? What are your dislikes? Like,
Right.
what type of music do you listen to? What are your favorite colors? What type of humor are you gravitated to? All of
Mhm.
these things make up you and your personality. And honestly, when I was married, the first time I didn't know the answers to those
Yeah.
questions. And so I was a mom and I worked really hard at that. And I worked at the agency and I came home and I did it again. And so if someone were to ask me, what do you like to do for your fun time? I'm like, what's fun time? Like, what's,
Yeah.
what hobby? Like, what are you talking, or what do
Right.
you like to, what type of music do you listen to? Do you like at the time, do you like dancing? Do you like, and I'm like, you know what? I
Right.
don't know. And so when we start to kind of like settle in, and I think that comes with age too, like
Yes.
settle into ourselves and who we are,
Yeah.
and get a friend or someone outside to be able to pull that out of us, we can really present a
Mhm.
unique, authentic, just comfortable in our own skin person to the world
Right.
in what
Right.
we do.
And so, in saying that, what are the biggest challenges for people to begin with their brand? Is it, I mean, it's talking to somebody, like you said, getting some feedback about what you're thinking, what you're doing. But is there anything else that are challenges for people starting to brand themselves?
Yeah, I mean there's quite a few. I think like I said, niche and target audience are one of the biggest things to figure out. how to narrow in, and then how to present that in an authentic way. So in the book that I have, it kind of breaks down
Please
your
tell us about
anatomy.
it. And tell us about the book. That's fantastic.
It's called Beautifully Branded. It's the girl's guide to understanding the anatomy of brand you. And so it breaks down your anatomy and just kind of a visual of your brand. And so your head is the strategy, your heart is your why and your values. And as we all know in life, a lot of times our head and our heart are not aligned, and our head says do this, go this way, and our heart wants us to go this way. And so it can be tricky. But I love this quote. I don't know who it's by, but it's like, follow your head, but follow your heart, but bring your head with you. So it's that notion of doing what you love and what brings you joy, what you're on this planet for. I think we all have a very specific purpose here on this earth, but also creating a strategy and a plan of where do I want to go and be, and how exactly do I get there? I think that is one of the biggest challenges, that we don't set that plan, how to get from A to B, while bringing our heart with us, and then making sure that we are honoring ourselves and our value by charging what we're worth, and saying no to those huge. I think that, and that's the mindset thing. It's your mind. If we could all just like
remove that little
program. Oh my goodness. I know. And I struggle with it too. I struggle with it too. But valuing ourselves by charging what we're worth, and by saying no to those opportunities and clients and things that just don't serve us. They may be amazing, and we might be able to do them. As women, we are able to do anything and everything we set our minds to, but we are not always meant to do everything that pops up and that is in front of us.
Yeah. And it's funny, but there's times when I have just gone, okay, I'm just going to do it. I don't have a plan. I don't have an idea. I'm just going to go ahead and do it.
Right.
And the cool thing is that it'll work out. But then you get to that place of where you don't know what to do. Like, okay, now I've got here. So, so now, like you said, who's my market? Now what? So, a lot of us will just venture into something. It'll work out okay for a little while. But then we hit this roadblock. Like, now I don't know what to do, because now so-and-so knows me, and this person wants to talk to me. And, now, so all these things start to happen. Where'd you go? Hello. I lost you. I lost you. Can you hear me? Come back. Well, I'm going to take a few minutes, just in case she comes back on, to tell you about Olivia's, she has a Facebook page, Olivia Omega, and it's a branding page. She also has a personal Facebook page. She has a website. This is all on www.kathybacon.com. And you can find all the information there. There's links that you can click on to find her Facebook page, to email her. She's really an amazing person, and she's been through ups and downs and ins and outs and struggles to actually, there she is.
Hi.
I was talking about you. Did you hear me?
Keep going. No, I felt so bad. I'm like, oh shoot, I lost her. I'm back.
It's okay. Sometimes I think I'm in Thailand. It is,
this is crazy.
Wednesday morning.
So cool.
And it's Tuesday night. So things are bound to happen.
I know, but it's so funny. It's like technology. We rely on it so much, and it's so amazing until it doesn't work. And then we get all offended. Like, how am I not talking to
Darn
Kathy in
it.
Thailand? What is happening?
I know, it's so great. Oh, well, I was telling everyone that they can find out your information on my website because I've got some links that they can click on to get to your Facebook page, to get to your website,
Perfect.
to get to your email, because I mean, that's my goal, is to hopefully bring people out into the world that nobody knows about. And maybe, just maybe, somebody will take a moment and say, I need her. I think I might need her. I just, so I have all that information on my website about every guest I have. And
Thank
it's
you.
really helped. And I also put the videos on YouTube as well. And I put them on my website as well so people can rewatch. And you just never know who's going to be around the corner saying, I like her and I want to talk to her.
Attract and repel.
So we were talking about the book. Now you're
Yeah.
relaunching it, right?
I'm relaunching it. So what happened was,
Okay.
this is like me sharing more of my flaws and just like real life
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur, is that I wrote this book about 2 years ago, and I got the idea and I shared it with someone I had met through PR from back in the day in my baby line days.
Yeah.
And not everyone shares the same vision that you have. And so it's very important that as you are receiving your marching orders and have this mission and passion and idea in your heart, not everyone is meant to hear that. And so we have to kind of be careful who we share it with. And so I had started to share this idea, and even I think 5 chapters that I had written of this book, and the person I had shared it with, I really trusted. And they kind of came down on me pretty hard about, it's not a good idea. Nobody knows what personal branding is. Personal branding is a fad. It's going to go, and nobody uses that word. And it's like all of this stuff, and had me really second guessing what I was
Yourself.
doing, to the point where for like a couple months, I didn't touch the book. I didn't do anything out of fear. Like, gosh, what if I'm doing the wrong thing? So it took an extra year for me to get the courage to finish the book. But in finishing it, I had a lot of speaking engagements and I was traveling, and I needed to just print it and get it ready and get it out right away. And so I didn't go through the traditional routes of having it officially published and on Amazon and all of these different places. So 2 years later, I am adding to the book. I'm updating it, adding just more knowledge and stories and information, so that Mother's Day is the plan. That it will be on Amazon and available for purchase, and just hoping that the information in there can be a blessing and inspiring to as many women as possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's just awesome. So I want to say what's next to you, but you're still in the thick of things.
I'm in the thick of things. I mean, so thinking back from the Ellen show and things like that, my oldest is 14 and going to high school. And
they're very lovely. I see them all the time on Facebook.
You.
Lovely children.
Thank you. And my son, who was sick, is doing amazing. He's great. He's 11. And my new husband has an 11-year-old as well. So we've got our hands full, to say the least. And people always ask me, and people with smaller kids, I say, the sleep gets better. You start to sleep more until they start driving, and then you don't sleep as much. And life as a parent never gets easier. It just gets different.
It just gets different. That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it gets different. So you and your new husband, you have a company together as well.
We do. So we got married about almost 3 years ago, and we met at church, and it's he's amazing. It's an amazing story how we met. But it was I knew he was my husband, and it was just awesome the way it all came together. He's a marketer too. He's into marketing. So we had a lot of dates where we just kind of like nerded out on marketing and persuasive language and all of these different things. But he comes from a perspective of sales, and his focus is always, how do you make the sale, and what are you selling, and what's the bottom line, and where's the money coming from, and are there other product lines and residual income, all of these different things. And as a woman, I'm just like, oh, but it just feels good, and I just want to help people, and I just want to give. And he's like, where's the money coming from? So I do everything that you see. So all of the branding from a language perspective, visuals, graphics, web design, he does everything you don't see. And that is the how to build your email list and how to convert those people on your list into buyers, and creating lead magnets and lead pages, all of these other things that I didn't know how to do. And also, sadly, this is really sad, but as a woman, weren't on my top priority list until it came down to, crap, how am I going to feed these kids? So anyway, what we found is, as I would work with people to build the brand, they would have an amazing website, great strategy, differentiating themselves in the markets, clear target audience, everything was amazing. And then we would kind of sit there and be like, okay, now what? And on the flip side of that, my husband and his work would jump straight into creating products and building email lists, and the branding, there was nothing there. And it wasn't speaking to that person's, the quality of their brand or the quality of the offering that they had or who they were as a person. There was no storytelling. And so what we found is putting them together and doing it as a husband and wife tag team was so beneficial to our clients. And so we've seen literally in the past year, huge growth in our business and for our clients by making sure we covered those two aspects for them in a very strategic way. So it's been really fun. It's we arm wrestle a lot on a lot of different topics. And I'm like, he's like, just make the logo bigger. And I'm like, no, we can't just throw logos on things. Like, so we have a lot of back and forth. And I think I truly believe that our clients appreciate the two perspectives that we have.
I'm sure.
And the pushback, I push him and he pushes me. So then the end product is the best possible product that we could produce for them.
And what is the name of that company, Olivia?
It's called Wallace Marketing Group. And that's at wallacemarketinggroup.com.
Okay. So there's that as well. So if you want to start with branding and get your feet wet, you kind of start with you. But if you want to go big, wide, and wild across the country, then the two of you together can really make that happen. So that's really awesome. I mean, you're like a one-stop shop.
Pretty much. Between us and our partners.
That's so awesome. It's so awesome. I mean, it's fantastic. And I cannot tell you how awesome it is to see you and talk with you across the miles.
I know. It's so cool.
I'm always watching your Facebook page because I love your pictures. You have the most incredible pictures ever. I mean, I had no problem when I was going to start promoting the show. I went onto your website. I found everything I needed. I mean, the most incredible pictures, your information. I mean, I look at that and I'm like, oh man, I need to go and look at my website.
Those are the things that we don't think of. And that's kind of as what I do, those are the things I think of, making sure that it's presenting a brand and that it's accessible for these sorts of opportunities.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it was so easy to get around in there. It was so easy to tell what you did. There was no this, I do a little bit of this, I do a little bit of that. No, I do this. This is what I do.
Good. Okay. That's the goal. Because I do a lot of stuff. We all have like these creative, we're human. And so we have a lot of interest. And so the whole point is presenting a very focused brand. So I'm glad.
You did a fantastic job. So thank you so much for being on the show. I admire you to no end. And I didn't know your whole story, but now that I hear your story, I feel it's like it connects us because I've had a piece of your story somewhere along the line. I've had a divorce. I've had to be on my own. I've had to struggle with work and all of that. So that's the basis of the show, is to really be able to connect, have that human contact with people and understand that we all have a piece of each other's story. And it's inspiring to hear all that you've done and all that you're doing. I mean, you're helping so many people, and your new husband and your children are fantastic. I love seeing them on you do so many fun things. And I love the way you always are making faces. And I love that because I'm a face maker.
I have to. This is me being authentic and being me.
That's right. So will you tell us before we go, the best ways to get a hold of you?
The best ways to get a hold of me, I'm not one of those people who do a lot of social media messaging. So
Right.
if someone is like, DMing me and all of that stuff, it's usually family. And so I honestly believe that the best way to connect with me is via email. Yeah. And my email is olivia@oliviaomega.com. And then I can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and I'm really, really trying. This is something I'm committing to. So now that I am telling you this, then you can hold me accountable to it. But doing more video and really building my YouTube channel. And so YouTube is one of my big focuses for 2017. So you guys can definitely find me. Just search Olivia Omega on YouTube.
Fantastic. Well, it's been a pleasure, I have to say, seeing you. And I really appreciate your time. I know it's in the evening there, although it's still morning here. It's only 10 o'clock. So I have my whole day to go. But I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate you, just getting here and just being a part of what's your story, because your story is important. It's very important. And it's really a piece of the pie for all of us. So thank you very much, Olivia. And
thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And thank you all for tuning in and listening to Olivia Omega and her story and finding out ways about branding that you might not have known. So I suggest you might connect with her at some point. So thank you all, and have a great, great week.